Hello guys, welcome back to my 100% race backmarker career. We are getting ready for the Q1 session of the Austrian Grand Prix. I've definitely been looking forward to this race. I usually do well here. I really enjoy driving on this track. And it'll be interesting to see just how the Lotus car is going to stack up against the faster cars on this particular track, as I haven't seen that before. Got a couple of Lorne Primes here from practice. We're not going to be using them. I think we're going to skip to a new set of options and just get in a quick lap, which will hopefully be enough to get us into Q2 without too much hassle. Skipping ahead to the lap itself, coming up on the finishing straight here, we end up in 1:12.330. I'm not 100% certain that's going to get us into Q2, so we end up doing an extra lap here and manage to improve on our time by a little over half a second. So I'm happy with that one. Skipping right ahead to Q2, another set of options, hoping to do a quick lap here. We're going to be starting on these tires, so we don't want to wear them out too much. Unfortunately, I am not able to be as quick as I wanted on the first lap there, so we end up having to do an extra one coming up on the finishing straight here. We end up doing 1:12.062, which is enough to get us into Q3. And our Q3 lap coming up right here, another set of options, and we end up doing 1:11.639, which is about a second better than our previous time. And we end up starting 7th on the grid for the Austrian Grand Prix. Looking ahead at what is going to be a 3-stop race, we start out on options. We change to a set of options on our first stop, another set of options on our second stop, and we finish the race on a set of primes after our third stop. And hopefully that will give us a chance to put in some good laps early in the middle of the race, and then perhaps defend a little on the last stint there. Moment of truth, we have Raikkonen right ahead of us and Kvyat immediately situated on the right there. If we can get a good start, get out of the gate a little earlier than Kvyat, we should be able to pass him, and we do get a good start. No significant wheel spin whatsoever. We're able to duck around Kvyat, close the door on him a little bit there, see if we can outbrake some cars there, but Rosberg goes very, very close to the curb, and there's absolutely no room there. So we end up right behind Raikkonen, advancing one spot there during the start. So we got Raikkonen right ahead of us, the other Ferrari of Alonso immediately ahead of him, and we see if we can outbrake those guys down to the second corner here, and we do. So we managed to pass both Ferraris there, but Alonso is not going to have any of that, and we are neck and neck coming out of the corner. He's going to have to back out, so we end up advancing 3 spots on the start, and we are immediately behind Rosberg and Hamilton, and on front is Ricciardo. And as a matter of fact, it seems that we've been able to open up a little bit of a gap down to Raikkonen. He's about 2 seconds down, and we seem to be able to match the current pace of Rosberg, and Hamilton is immediately ahead of him, and Ricciardo has a slight gap to the 2 Mercedeses. Just getting a little bit too much of the curb there on the exit. We end up doing a little bit of wheel spin, lose some ground to the Mercedes. Somebody's trying to outbrake somebody, and Rosberg almost has to park the car after what looked like an ill-fated move to go down the inside. We go down the inside of Rosberg, running over the curb, and we're into 3rd position. So after a lap and a half, we end up advancing 4 positions from our starting point on the grid. And by the looks of it, it seems that Ricciardo and Hamilton are opening up a bit of a gap on us, and Hamilton is starting to put Ricciardo under some pressure up front. Rosberg is not going to be too far away either. He's not going to have the benefit of DRS on this particular lap, but that Mercedes engine alone should be enough for him to put us under some pressure here on the finishing straight. And as you can see, we have Rosberg right there in the mirrors, the two Ferraris immediately behind him. And I would expect Rosberg to mount an attack as soon as he gets within DRS range. Also up in front, you can just make out that Hamilton is outbraking Ricciardo going into the corner and is the new leader of the Austrian Grand Prix. And look at that Mercedes, he's already pulling away from Ricciardo there ever so slightly. So I don't think we're going to be seeing him again. Skipping ahead to lap 4, we've actually managed to close the gap a bit on Ricciardo, who's not going all that fast at the moment here, leading me to believe that he may be on a different pit strategy than we are. Rosberg having a quick look down the inside, we close the door. So at this point, we're actually catching Ricciardo by about half a second per lap, and it'll be interesting to see if we get the chance of passing him once we get within DRS range. Jumping ahead to lap 8, we have managed to close the gap within 1 second, giving us DRS on the straight here, which is also going to help us a little bit from Rosberg coming from behind. He has another look down the inside, but he has to back out. But we are closing on Ricciardo very, very fast at this moment, and hopefully we should be able to pass him within the next couple of laps, unless he turns up the engine or starts putting in some better times than what he's doing right now. Opening up the DRS one more time, see if we can't close the gap enough to make a move coming into the turn here. We're unable to. So instead we take the slower line into the bend, get on the throttle earlier on the exit, and Ricciardo just leaves us room to overtake him on the inside, puts himself on the bad line there, and there's really no way of him avoiding us going by. And jumping to lap 11, Rosberg is going to have a look down the inside of us there on the straight. We return the favor and take the second position right back, running a little wide there in the process. And in the meantime, Hamilton is just taking advantage of us blocking everyone else in sight and pulling away to what is surely going to be an easy win, barring any accidents or mishaps. Coming up on the second DRS straight, Rosberg is having another look down the inside. This time he actually manages to pass us, but he's on the bad line and we're able to outbrake him into the turn and pull away one more time. And right now we have a situation right behind us where we have Rosberg, Ricciardo, and Raikkonen, I believe it is, within tenths of a second of each other. Skipping ahead to lap 12, Rosberg has opened up a bit of a gap on the other cars. We have a pack of cars just about a second back of both Rosberg and I. 3 cars that are really battling for position, and somebody looked like they crashed into someone there. I'm not sure what happened in the corner. We get a bad exit on the curb there. We're all over the place, and Rosberg is having another look. We managed to maintain the racing line, though. Boy, this guy's persistent. Skipping ahead to lap 16, we go in for our first stop of the race. We actually managed to go 1 lap further on these option tires. So, and we have, as you can see, we have both Raikkonen right behind us and Rosberg was right behind us as well. And wouldn't you know it, we get held up in the pits and both Raikkonen and Rosberg come out ahead of us. And I don't think we're going to be catching those guys again anytime soon. That ticks me off. Stupid pit crew, learn to hustle up, will ya? So we managed to exit in 6th position right now, right behind Raikkonen. We're going to be jumping a couple of positions ahead here on lap 18, as we have other cars in the pits right now. So I will expect us to come out on 4th position, I believe. Skipping ahead to lap 19, I'm not sure whether Raikkonen is running in fuel conservation mode or not, but he's not lapping very quickly at this point. And as a matter of fact, we are within DRS range of him at this point. Open up the DRS, see if we can't close the gap on him enough to make a move on him heading into the turn here. And we have a dive down the inside, braking very late indeed, almost forcing him off the track there. Well, far from it actually, but he gives us the room to pass on the inside, much like Ricciardo did only a turn later. And we are up into third position and have reclaimed the third spot from Raikkonen there. And as we skip ahead to lap 33 now, we are heading into the pits for our second stop of the day, and we are going to be changing to another set of option tires. Meanwhile, somebody has crashed out as we are down from 22 cars to 20 cars running right now. And we're going to have to see if we can't squeeze out right ahead of Ricciardo. You can see him coming down the straight there on the left hand, and this is going to be very close indeed, but he does manage to come down ahead of us, and we are currently in fourth position right behind Ricciardo in third, and we have Raikkonen right behind us in the mirrors in fifth. And jumping ahead to lap 34, something has happened to Rosberg because we have jumped a spot into third position, and we are now down to 19 cars. Meanwhile, we have closed the gap on Ricciardo enough to have a look down the inside of him right here heading into the turn. We do mess up the braking just a little bit, running very wide indeed, and Ricciardo just dives back down the inside of us, reclaiming the spot. But we have the benefit of DRS here. We have the slipstream giving us enough raw power just to pull away from him here on the straight. And we are now into second position of the Austrian Grand Prix. Very, very positive so far. This is way better than anything I had expected, and it'll be interesting to see whether or not we can keep this pace up for the remainder of the race. And skipping to lap 37, we've opened up a gap of about 3.5 seconds down to Ricciardo, which is positive, but wouldn't you know it, we have a blue flag situation, and Mr. Lewis Hamilton is coming up to lap number 2 in the race on lap 37 of the Austrian Grand Prix. This is unreal. Skipping ahead to lap 46, Raikkonen has passed Ricciardo behind us, and the cloud cover is subsiding and leaving the sun room to warm up the track a little bit here, and it'll be interesting to see what that does to the tire wear. We are not going to be more than a couple of laps away from our third stop, but I have to say that so far these options have, and we have at no point really felt like our tires were ready to go. And speak of the devil, lap 48, we come in for our third and last stop of the race. We are going to be putting on a set of primes here for our last stint. And also at this point, we are now down to 18 cars running. And it'll be interesting to see what kind of position we rejoin the race in. Ricciardo has already passed us there. Raikkonen has already passed us, but I think Raikkonen is on a similar pit strategy, three-stop race, stopping at roughly the same intervals that we are. Ricciardo, on the other hand, seems to have been stopping later and is probably looking to finish this race on options, meaning if we want to close the gap on him, this is definitely the time to do it. And skipping ahead to lap 52 here, we are currently running in fourth position behind Ricciardo, about 11 seconds back, and we have a gap down to Magnussen in fifth position, about 12 seconds back. And jumping to lap 56 now, we have passed Ricciardo, who is in the pits for his final stop. The only question is how much of a gap will we have on him when he exits. He is likely going to be on option tires for this last stint, and he is likely going to be much, much faster than us. And currently we have a gap of about 4 seconds down to Ricciardo, and that is not a whole lot. And jumping ahead to lap 59, as you can see, he is all but close that gap. He has to look down the inside. He's going to have to back out of it, but holding Ricciardo behind us with this kind of pace for another 12 laps is not going to be an easy task. As we skip ahead to lap 64 here, we're still tangling with Ricciardo, exiting the corner all wrong, riding the curb here, and that just gives him the extra speed that he needs to pass us. We try and have another look down the inside to reclaim the position, but Ricciardo's having none of it, and he's going to pull away for third position in the Austrian Grand Prix. Lewis Hamilton takes it. We are going to be ending up fourth, ahead of Massa in fifth. So Lewis Hamilton takes the Austrian Grand Prix, Raikkonen is in second, Ricciardo in third. We finish right off the podium there in fourth. Let's have a look at who did not finish. We have Perez, Rosberg, Kobayashi, and Vettel. And I'm not really sure what happened to either. What I do know is that Rosberg was definitely in second position when he had to retire. I don't know if he crashed out or whether it was a mechanical issue or not, but all of a sudden he was just off the leaderboard there and we managed to advance a position. So that leaves us in 10th position in the Drivers' Championship, 1 point ahead of Alonso there. And I'm thinking, hey, Toro Rosso guys, that Vern seat there doesn't seem to be working out for you very well. How's about giving us a call there? Anyway, guys, if you enjoyed this, please don't forget to leave a like or subscribe, and I'll be seeing you again soon enough.